Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for October 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and if you would like some assistance in bringing a vision of your future self, what you would like to create in your life, into the now, check out my Spiritual Warrior Weekend, which you can attend live in Sarasota, Florida, or you can attend virtually. You can see that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. So what's going on for Leo in the month of October? We're going to break this down into general transits that will affect everyone, including Leos, and things specific just for Leo. So let's start out with just Leo energy. I'm calling the theme of this month for Leo, prolific expression. I promised last month that I would talk about Jupiter's sign change and what it means for us. Jupiter is the great expander. It often brings benevolence and lots of opportunities. So we really want to track where Jupiter is, what it's doing, so that we can make the most of this great benevolent expander. It turns out that wherever Jupiter is for you at this time, there are also short-term planets there. So the Jupiter is a long-term transit, so it brings long-term themes, but there are also simultaneously short-term transits occurring. So you've got a short-term and long-term focus in the areas that I'm going to talk about. That's why it's perfect for October, because it's relevant just for this month, but it's also beyond. So early degree placements always experience transits before the rest of the placements. Early degree placements are the July born Leos up until around August 2nd, or 0 through 9 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. So you will all start to see Jupiter moving its expansion into your third house. Some middle degree placements might start to feel this, because a sensitive person can feel the energy several months before it starts to get very active. Later degree placements, you're not going to start this really revving up for you until much later into next year, actually. So Jupiter transits span about a year from the time they start. But for later degree placements, you're not going to have your year start until into next year. So, but it's still a theme for October. But the longer term theme is going to get stronger for you into 2017. Okay, but right now, early degree placements have Jupiter starting to expand the third house. The third house is all about writing, editing, communication of all kinds. Jupiter often brings freedom, so more freedom to your writing, more flow to your writing, more freedom to your communication, more expansion of your communication, teaching, learning, anything having to do with public speaking or bringing a message out. It's also one of the houses of the social scenes, so expanding your social interactions and your friendship circles are all possible. Jupiter can bring you more effective and clear communication. If you're working on trying to be a better communicator in any way, taking classes or doing something to promote that at this time will go even further than doing it at another time. Also, it could bring more travel, especially short-term travel or short distance travel. That's really more of what Mercury's domain is the shorter term or the shorter distance. It can bring more busyness, like just a busy time where there's so much busyness all over, all over the place. That's the energy of Gemini, which is the energy of the third house. It's just like crazy busy, lots of stuff going on, lots of thoughts, lots of words, lots of ideas, lots of actions, lots of movement. You might also upgrade or find more freedom in your mobility. So that can rule your transportation mechanisms. So you might get a better car. You might get a less expensive car. You might get a car if you didn't have one. You might get a new bike. You know, anything that upgrades or improves your freedom. Maybe you're deciding that you want to take buses and now you're free of a car and insurance payment. And that's bringing you more freedom for movement because you're doing that. So there's no one way this can look, but it's working towards improving your mobility. Also, since the third house rules communication, you might get a major upgrade to your devices during this time and your capacity to use them in a way that helps you to communicate. So these are things that are in the short and long term. Well, they're actually in the short term for all Leo placements. They're starting a long-term theme for the early degree placements. Jupiter is still going to be in the second house for a little while for middle degree placements, and for a long time for the late degree placements. So let's talk about what the energy of Jupiter in the second house brings. Jupiter in the second house for many people will just straight up bring more money, more income. It can often bring more expenses, but usually there's the income to support it. It can bring more stuff or nicer stuff, or alternatively, people can evaluate their values. The second house also rules values, and decide that focus on materialism is not, and consumerism is not exciting for you anymore, and that you want to live more simply and not buy things and live more sustainably. Any efforts for living more sustainably will be dramatically improved, especially when you're focusing on it, when Jupiter is moving through the second house. So having a garden, electric cars, living off the grid, buying less, using your creative resourcefulness to avoid buying things, keeping better track of what you're spending, and cutting out things you don't need, which could bring you more income, even if you don't increase your income. So these are things that are very much a focus for Jupiter in the second house, and these are the energies that are specific for Leo. And now I want to talk about the sweet spots in October for launches, the dicey spots to look out for, definitely challenges will come, and how you can manage the general transits in this month. I'm calling the theme of October Intense Impetus for New Birth. So we know whenever we birth something, whether it's an actual child or whether it's a creative project or whether it's a new dimension of an experience, anything new often will come with birthing pains. And this month is full of opportunities to have birthing pains, or also described as the pressure that it either takes to step into a new experience, or the pressure it takes to birth something into the tangible dimension, into the this reality, the third dimension. So there are awesome opportunities for launches, for new things coming in. And actually, this is the first month in all of 2016, starting on October 7th and running through around December 2nd, the first few days in December, that we don't have a personal planet retrograde or a shadow interfering with a launch. There have been a couple of other launch phases that I've recommended this year, but neither of those two main phases were completely clear of retrogrades. But we do have to have some time before this time now in October where we were doing some things, launching new things. But this is the period of time now that it's wide open from the perspective of the personal planets being clear of retrograde. So this month is just like such a mixed bag because it has some beautiful aspects, actually even starting at the end of September. September 26th is the first one. I'll go into that. And straight through the end of the month, October 30th is my favorite day of the month for birthing, which I'll get more into that as well. But in between all of those openings for pushing things forth, moving things along, there is a lot of pressure and opposition, challenges. Sometimes it's the challenge, the opposite, that the thing opposing us, that actually creates the intense impetus to do something different. And so we get comfortable in our lives and in circumstances, and sometimes it's easier to just let things be than it is to rock the boat in a way that you would have to be able to create a new life, to birth a project, to birth a new dimension of reality. So this month, it seems like it's completely astrologically designed to bring that pressure that's necessary for the new birth. So if you have brought something out at the end of September, or if you're preparing to launch something, just know you might have a little bit of touch and go before the energy is more clear. The energy gets more clear in November, or actually starting October 30th. So I'll give you some good dates that I really like for launching things. And know that if you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, that you get a more detailed review of the month ahead in writing, along with more dates and things that go on in those dates and good dates and challenging dates, etc. So I'm giving you some summaries of some of the points here, but you can get more access to that a month ahead of time by signing up for my free newsletter. Okay, so October 1st, we have, well, actually, backtrack. September 26th is one of the most wonderful days of the year for expansion, growth, benevolence, luck. It just happens to be that we're kind of fresh off of Mercury going direct on September 22nd. So it's going to be a great launch date, but I'm putting some conditions in there. If you're launching something that is a relaunch, is a phase of something that is a short-term phase, is addressing something short-term, is like a leg of a journey or a piece of something, then September 26th is fabulous. If it's something that this is the unveiling, the first time someone is ever seeing it, you might want to wait until that October 30th date if you can help it, or at least into October, because you want that Mercury retrograde energy to be more clear when you're launching something for the first time or something long-term. Sometimes we fall under this misconception that you can't do anything in Mercury retrograde or shadow, and that's not true. You can do plenty of things, and you can check out my Mercury retrograde video to see more about that. But the things it mostly dictates is short-term ventures and legal contracts. That you want to avoid is long-term ventures and legal contracts, because the energies are murky and they're subject to change. So that's why I say if you've got something that's like a leg of a journey or something like that for a launch, then September 26th is amazing. Also, ultimately, you always have to trust your intuition and your own flow, because there are sometimes, very often, that personal transits in your personal chart will supersede things in the general transits, so that's a very important thing to note always when you're listening to astrological dates and forecasts. So September 26th is an amazing day. October 1st is another awesome day. Venus in Pisces is making a trine, which is the most favorable angle in astrology, to Neptune in Pisces, and that brings amazing healing and artistic, anything having to do with healing, the healing arts or artistic expression. And Venus, which rules love, beauty, and money. So that's a sweet angle. October 26th, we have Venus in Sag making a 60-degree angle to Jupiter in Libra. And a 60-degree angle is a favorable angle, but it's one that you often have to do something to activate its full glory. Sometimes trines will come and you can activate the energy as well, but sometimes they'll just bring blessings without you having to do much. But the 60-degree angle that we have on October 26th really wants some sort of action. So Venus combined with Jupiter is like love, beauty, money in a beautiful angle to expansion and growth and luck. So that's a sweet day. My favorite day of the month, and mark this with a big star on your calendar, is October 30th. We have a new moon at 18 degrees of Scorpio. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, and it also trines Neptune. So we've had a lot of new moons this year that have sort of been conflicted or afflicted with their energies because there were difficult angles going on at the same time. And you do have some challenging energy the days before the new moon, but by the time the new moon comes, most of that should be clear. So it's a really great launching pad for anything. You're free of the Mercury retrograde shadow at the beginning of the month. You're free of the challenging angles that dance throughout the month, and so it's just a really nice time. Okay, so there are more dates that I give in my newsletter that are good dates, with some more details there too. So some dates that will likely come with growing or birthing pains or challenges are October 5th, the 15th and 16th, the 19th, and the 28th, 29th. And again, like I said, there are more challenging dates throughout the month of October, which you can see the full list when you sign up for my newsletter, but I don't have time to go into all of them. There are just so many. So October 5th, we have Mars in Capricorn squaring Jupiter in Libra. When these planets come together in this angle, it can often lead to overpromising or having overpromised something and not being able to deliver it, or some sort of overextension of action or will. It could also manifest as obstacles in the way of you trying to do something. Mars is action, and You know, when Jupiter is making a difficult angle, it's like you don't have the great expander on your side. It's being antagonistic. So you'll see some things come up there. October 15th and 16th, it's just like a powerhouse of challenge. I think that challenge can be a very, very, very positive thing. So the way I frame challenges, especially if you are being accountable for your own happiness, if you are taking responsibility for the quality of your experience, we can't control the things that will happen always, right? Very often it's completely out of our control, certain destined events. However, we can control the quality of our experience. And when we have challenges, it often causes us to activate that aspect of free will that we have in our charts and stand up for it and do something about it. And sometimes that takes pressure. So on October 15th and 16th, we have this is a yearly event. The Sun opposes Uranus. That makes a 180-degree angle, and it is a challenging angle. So things can come up that can be jostling, erratic people or inconsistencies interfering with something you're trying to do. Mercury is also squaring Pluto, so power figures, someone using their power not in a good way. That could be interfering with your personal expression. And October 16th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Aries, and this is a supermoon. This is the fourth supermoon of the year. We have 6 supermoons this year. A supermoon is when the moon is closer to the earth, and you can see it because the moon actually looks bigger. You ever look in the sky and say, whoa, the moon looks huge. It's like right there. That's a supermoon. And we're more affected by everything that the moon affects when there's a supermoon. The gravitational pull on the earth and its inhabitants are increased dramatically when the moon comes closer, especially when it comes into its fullness. So anything that would happen on a full moon will likely be magnified. So that could be lots of emotions, not only negative emotions, there could also be positive emotions. I've had many full moons where I was just brimming with joy, overflowing emotions that were happy. So we're not going to assume that every full moon has to bring some negative drama, although it tends to, because I always use the example of a dog when it gets wet. I love dogs. And when they get wet, they shake, 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 right? And if water represents emotion here, and it does in general, it's like at the full moon, we shake, shake, shake off the excess emotions that we don't process or deal with throughout the month. So this supermoon is in Aries, and one possible challenging aspect of this could bring a health impetus to focus on your health. So could that come through crisis? Yes, maybe, some sort of incident with your health or symptoms or something that maybe they were in the backdrop and then they just got up right in your face. Something like that. Something having to do with yourself, your self-esteem. A very positive aspect that could manifest with a full moon in Aries is amazing recognition and being thrown out into the limelight with it being all about you. Something coming to fruition, something coming to manifestation involving you and what you're doing and what your image is. And, so many people will be cast out in the limelight in this supermoon time. It's really important to note that these transits, even though I give you the dates of them, we can often feel them days before. And the bigger transits, we can feel them weeks or months before sometimes. But the transits that are present this month, you could feel them within days before or within days afterwards. I tend to feel things early. So most of the time when there's a challenging transit, before it comes, it's all right in front of me. And then by the time it actually comes, it's past already. The tension is past, kind of like when you're, when a race car driver is going around a track. And when it gets to the point, if you've ever done like go-karts or anything, then you're like excited to go forward, and then you have to slow down because there's that turn and it's awkward, and then you can zoom for the straight track. So that's similar, I liken it to that. So there's a lot of antagonistic energy at this time, but there's also a lot of chance for fruition, and there's a lot of pressure that's building that can facilitate your birthing of new things. The next transit that can be challenging is Mars and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn, and this occurs on October 19th. So when you have Mars, the god of war, and Pluto, the god of the underworld that rules birth, death, transformation, rebirth, atomic energy, get together, all of those traits will likely be magnified. Now, people can use that for good. People can have their ambitions soar during this transit and get thrown into a position, again, of recognition. There's a theme of this. But there could also be negative energy that brews to the point of verbal or even physical violence. You know, people will be on edge and angers and tensions may run high. So just be really careful around this time. Don't push anything, you know, if there's a situation that could be sketchy, and just breathe. October 28th and 29th, Mars, again, is in an aspect with a planet that it doesn't work well with when it's in a square. So Mars square Uranus, especially in Aries, which is like this fiery catapult of energy, you know. And Aries rules Mars. So there's like, again, this combination of this very forceful, assertive energy. So just be really careful with your actions and other people's actions. And, you know, if things like, I went to the library the other day and I saw 2 security guards going up, like one called the other one, and I was like, that doesn't look like a good situation. I think I'm going to get out of this situation. Like that, you know, just kind of be looking around for things that don't look right or feel right and distance yourself from them, and don't purposely put yourself in any situations that could be like that if you can help it. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for October. Again, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. I have a new blog on there for making powerful wishes for the new moon in Scorpio, specific for Scorpio wishes. You can advance your wishing power when you align the new moon wishes with the subjects of the sign that the new moon is in. So you can read more about that on my blog. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get more details the month ahead about the upcoming transits, often some additional details than I give in the horoscopes. While you're there, if you are looking to expand your monetary earning potential or magnetic potential, check out my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So you can click on my programs and check out my other programs in my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So I hope that you have a wonderful month of October. If you want to become a spiritual warrior, then you can check out my Spiritual Warrior Weekends. I'm having a live and virtual option for that experience in November. So you can see more of that on my website. Hope you have a wonderful month. See you soon. Bye.